Hello guys and welcome to this final part of the video for this week. So I'm going to do two short activities over here. The first one is the assignment that we have for the week number 9. So it will be quite short, something really simple, also because I need to finish grading the tests, so I cannot spend a long time revising a new assignment. Okay, I want to concentrate a little bit on the test. So well, you can work in groups of up to 4 people, and the task is really simple. From the slide number 116 to 119, there are 4 memes. Okay, these memes are literary, right? They sort of have a literary intention. They deal with literary works, novels, characters, etc. Okay, so first of all, I am going to ask you to identify each meme with one period that we have studied. Okay, so for example, you go to 116 and you say, oh, that is Anglo-Saxon, for example, right? Or you go to 117 and you say, oh no, that's Middle English or something like that. It may happen that one of them has not been studied yet. So in that case, you say, no, we have not studied this period yet. Okay, so that will be the first, yes. And the second will be to briefly explain like what is the intention of the meme. Memes are usually funny somehow, or they intend to have some sort of humor. Of course, these are literary ones, so they require a little bit of thought and let's say analysis in order to be understood somehow. Okay, so basically that's it. Identify the period and explain it. Let's imagine that out of the 4, only one is a period that we have studied and the other ones no. So you simply say, okay, this is Anglo-Saxon, and let's say the joke or the reason why this is supposed to be funny is this one, and you can write in about 2 sentences or 3, as many as you need. But in order to explain it, it's not going to be a long explanation, let's say. Yes. So if there are 2, you explain 2. If there are 3, you explain 3. If all of them belong to any period, well, you explain all of them. Okay. But I hope that you don't have any trouble with this. As I mentioned, it's a collective work, so I think that you may be pretty easily explain them and in no time. Like you won't have to spend a long time. Okay, so that is the assignment that we have, the only one that we have for the week, and hopefully you're going to be able to do it in no time. Okay, well, the other one or the other activity for this video is discussing a little bit about the exam. Okay, so as I mentioned before, I would like to have like a general correction of the exam, so you guys have an idea of how did you do. Of course, when I revise your specific tests, I will verify if there are certain things that may be a little bit different from what I say here, because what may happen is that somebody classified one of the texts in the wrong period, but gave a very reasonable justification. That may happen. Okay, so if that is the case, I will analyze it and I will give you a partial grade, right? Not like a complete 0 for that one. Okay, so it's important for you to know that. So let's start with this. The first instruction says, read carefully the following, and then there's this poem called Abdication. Okay, well, it's very important that we understand the literal side of the poem and the figurative one or allegorical one. Yes, these have like both sides, and most of the cases in poems specifically, we're going to find that probably a literal part and a more figurative one. Okay, so in the literal side, this is a poem about some sort of king or knight that is having a war, a long conflict with another, and he's tired of this. He's been battling for a territory, a parcel, a patch of land or something similar. Um, but he's really tired, right? So he's surrendering to his opponent. He's saying, I'm tired of this world. You take it. You take the parcel. You take this territory, which is really unfair because apparently this guy who is surrendering has been really nice to the inhabitants of such place, but those inhabitants of those people living there are really sort of loyal to this other opponent, to this other guy, and he seems to have the particularity of being really nasty. Yes, apparently he's sort of a tyrant. He kills people. He treats them really badly, etc. Right? But nevertheless, they are loyal to him. Right? So basically, he's saying, okay, well, I surrender. But please, I have become fond of these people. I love them somehow. I have a sense of belonging. So please treat them well. I am going to surrender this place. I'm going to leave, to let you have your way. Let you have your way. Sorry, but please treat them right. Treat them as they deserve because they are really valuable, even though they seem a little bit stupid because they give him like a treatment that he doesn't deserve to the second guy. And please do that. Please treat them well because if you don't, I will return and it will not be nice. Yes, so this will not be nice. Can be another war, can be, I don't know, an assassination. We don't know that, right? But he basically says, hey, treat them well or else. Yes, there will be like some sort of bad consequence in there. So that is the literal part. Yes, that is the literal part. Now, in the first question, it is asked to classify the poem into a period. So definitely no, let's say with no doubt, this belongs to Middle English. Okay, there's a lot of different reasons that you can provide. Let's say the existence of royalty, of knights, of kings, of the same word of abdication. Abdication means when a king or a member of royalty renounces his or her title. So that is pretty Middle English. It deals with conflict, with war, with this combat, right? But organized. Even this ending is only that may happen only in Middle English, like this surrendering. It wouldn't happen, for example, in Anglo-Saxon. Yes, in there you were expected to battle to the death. They talk about ideals of honor, ideas of even if you're my enemy, I trust you somehow, even if I am using a menacing language. In the end, if you do not comply with this, I will return. But well, all these different things, right? It deals about these ideals of sort of caring for what people would receive, right? So all of this is really Middle English. There's actually no other way. No, I mean, they talk about blades, armors, war, right? They talk about battles for territory. So definitely there is no other way. There's no room for any other interpretation. Again, if somebody put it into another one, well, we will see. But this was pretty clear. Okay. Now, in the B, they mention about an allegory. Yes. So I just explained the literal part, right? Now this battle is analogic or it's, making a comparison to something else. Yes. So what could be that something else? Here, you can blow your mind thinking about 1,000 different things, right? And as long as they are supported with the text, with some parts of the poem, it will be fine. Okay. Now, what is the most extended interpretation of this poem? Basically, it is a guy who was like the third person in a relationship. Let's imagine like a lover or something like that. Who's saying the official boyfriend, husband, or whatever that he's leaving. He's saying, okay, I'm going to be here in the middle anymore. I'm going to leave. I will not complicate your life anymore, because no matter how good or nice I am to the girl, she seems to be blindly in love or somehow in some sort of toxic relationship with the other guy. And every time that you return, she's going to be there for you, no matter how you mistreat her, how you sort of cheat on her, or I don't know. There may be like a lot of different interpretations for this mistreatment. It might be physical, it might be psychological, different ways, right? So I'm going to leave. I will accept my defeat, but please treat her right, treat her nicely, treat her as you once treated her, right? There's something I've heard. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, this one. It says, I can only appeal to your honor night to night, like man to man, before I leave this beloved parcel. So this parcel, of course, is compared to the woman, and that is why the writer uses the she over there, right? So he could sort of replace land, parcel, territory by something female, that is the she, right? I pray you find the warmth you once knew long ago when you first conquered her, and your heart and your deeds talk at unison, right? So I really expect that you treat her like when you met each other, and sort of having this honeymoon that all couples have at the beginning, and let's say your actions and your words were the same. Yes. So I hope that you find that way. And I hope you do it, because otherwise I'll be back. Yes, and it would not be nice. So again, we don't know what is this. It would not be nice. It wouldn't be nice, like maybe a physical confrontation, or some sort of revelation, or he would be trying to win her heart back, something like that. Again, there are a lot of different interpretations. So this is like the most extended one. But if somebody else found something different, if you were talking about, I don't know, some sort of a project that you abandoned, an academic thing that you didn't want to be there anymore, a professional thing, well, there are a lot of different possibilities, right? Because that's why poetry is so rich in interpretation. So as long as there are these possibilities, well, you can deal with that, okay? Then it says, what do you think the author assigned the title, and what does it have to do with the content? Well, this is very easy. Abdication, as I mentioned before, is to renouncing to your throne, to your crown. So basically, is according to the content, renouncing to something very valuable, very, very valuable for one of them, and that is why, right? The next one, it says, briefly explain the phrase, what I plow, you trample. Well, plow means decorate, cultivate, harvest, take care of a patch of land and making it flourish. So this is what the first guy who is surrendering is doing. He's plowing, and the other guy tramples, like everything when he's already flourished or something like that. So he arrives and sort of stomp on it and destroy everything, right? So that is what it means over here. Very well, so that was the first one. Then we have the second one, which is pretty immaterial, very intangible. Yes, we're basically talking here about feelings, emotions, and things like that. let's say that first of all, we can say that this can be located in at least two different periods from the ones that we have started, but it fits much better in one that we have not studied yet, or well, we have not studied yet. Okay, so basically, this poem, this zombie poem, it's about let's say hope, yes, and how let's say some other feelings die or disappear at first, and this final hope that is like the last thing that you're supposed to lose, well, suffers a horrible transformation before it is completely dead, right? So this hope becomes like a zombie, like something that eats you. It transforms or mutates into disappointment, into desire for revenge. It's a little bit stupid, right? Because it makes you feel like blind with frustration. And eventually it's like a zombie because it eats your brain, right? Let's say that it hoping somehow before it disappears, it makes you think a lot. Yes, so the metaphor for eating your brain is there, right? So, as I mentioned, let's say there are two correct answers, or maybe three, yes. The first one of them is Renaissance, right? So, there's a lot of things about self-contemplation over here, a lot of things about futility, something that is useless, like your life and your thinking and everything has no point in the end, because like hope, everybody dies. As I mentioned, it deals with abandonment, it deals with this feeling of lack of purpose, right? So it may be this one, okay? Renaissance, among many other reasons. Now, the other one, maybe neoclassical, right? That would be a second option. And why is that? Because basically, let's say that this poem analyzes many horrible things and many depressing things in a very systematic way. Yes, basically like since a very logical point of view. So when hope is about to die, you're going to feel this, and this, and in the end, let's say that it becomes like a zombie because it eats your mind and something like that. So it's very systematic, very logical, very organized in terms of what you are supposed to feel. And you normally know that like emotions are not necessarily like that. Yes, sometimes they can be a little bit more uncontrolled, not really unchecked, and that's it, right? So that may be another option. And the third option will be that it doesn't belong to any of the periods, right, that we studied. So it's not Anglo-Saxon, Middle English, Renaissance, British colonialism, or neoclassical, right? That is also a correct answer. Of course, you will require like to give some other reasons. Now that we have discussed already the other features, so you can say that this is romantic. It will be the best classification for it, just because it deals with feeling, with exacerbation of feelings that go unchecked, etc. Right? We have already mentioned about that this week. So that's it. Remember, you have those three options, okay? How many characters are there in this story? Well, this is really tricky, right? And basically, you could say that are either one, yes, that is the person that is feeling, right? That we don't know if it's a guy, a girl, the entire human world, humanity, humankind, right? No idea, but that's it, yes? So that is one possibility. The other one would be to assume feelings as characters, right? In that case, you may name some of the other ones. I mean, you can decide that there is still only one, that is Hope, and he suffers all these mutations. Or the other possibility will be saying that each feeling, so let me take a look at it, disappointment, revenge, frustration, pain, each one of them is a character, okay? That wouldn't be so correct. Let's say, because we either have one physical person that is feeling all this, and that is the character, or we have only one feeling that is hope, that is personified somehow, feeling all of these different things. The other option, with each emotion being the correct one, let's say that it will be more or less okay. Just not completely okay, because we see that not all of them are completely developed, right? But again, it's a possibility. Okay. Now the literal summary I already gave it to you. It's basically an emotion that becomes or that mutates into different things. It was simply like to mention each one, how it like becomes revenge, how it becomes etc., right? And the D, I have already explained it. Hope is a zombie hungry to eat your brains. It makes you think a lot, like eats your mind somehow, and that's why. Yes. So it's just a matter of course, I'm giving you a very general explanation. It's a matter of describing it a little better when you're doing the test. Finally, we have this sonnet over here. Yes, okay, but spoiler alert, it is a sonnet. So reasons, you can have a lot of reasons. Let's say that it has all the components. It has the quatrains. It has the couplet. I selected this one specifically to confuse you a little bit. Because I know that many of you may have thought, okay, it has everything, but it's not in the same order. So is it or is not? So if you take a look at the videos and you take a look at the slides, you can see that I never mentioned that it was mandatory to be in the specific order. So that is like the most problematic part, no? Like to decide if it is or not. But then you can think about the number of syllables. You can think about the number of feet. You can think about the number the strong and soft accents and all these different things. The combination of let's say rhyming, AB, and all these different things, are not perfect in the sonnet. Yes, but as you probably saw, and as we discussed, sometimes they were not perfect, right? Like you can find many examples of Shakespearean poems or sonnets that were not perfect, right? Let's say that if you take a look at all the characteristics, you will see that there are more that belong than more that do not belong. And actually those that do not belong are just small details, right? So in general, we can say that yes, for the reasons that I mentioned and some other ones, right? Now, what is the text about? Of course, this is a little bit tricky, no? And let's say that it's a person who is not secure of what to do, who is like a leaf on air or something like that, going from one place to another, and a person that really cannot decide about what to do, and that everything causes him pain. He is unhappy by different ways. It's an interesting thing that if anybody was able to get this, well, congratulations, because it's really cryptic. Or maybe if you were able to look online or something and you find it, well, still is a research task that is important, right? The first one is, it says, two guides guide me. Two gods, I'm sorry. Yes, one that is blind. So this would be Eros or Cupid. It means love. Remember that the representation of Eros or Cupid is a little angel that normally has his eyes covered, and that is why they say that love is blind. Yes. And then let's say there's another god that was born from the sea. This god, or in this case goddess, will be Venus or Aphrodite. So this guy is between, let's say, traditional romantic love, of the emotional, let's say, tender and cute feelings, innocent somehow, and the love of Aphrodite that is a little bit more sexual and more somehow pleasure driven, yes, from the body satisfaction. So it's a little bit like that. We can talk about some other things, but that is like the most general thing. Um, Finally, well, the idea was to select three words from the text and create the canons. That it's really up to you. I will have to revise one by one to try and see if they are correct or not. But that's the idea. Okay, so hopefully, I mean, this test I always design them to be tough, to make you think, to really put into practice what we learn, because probably you can just check the video and check some characteristics, but it's always going to be tricky. And if you're able to somehow discover or decipher all these tricky things, it means that you were able to understand correctly and follow with commitment the explanation. Okay, so well, thank you very much, guys. That was it. Have a great week and see you around. Thanks a lot. Bye bye. Hugs.